Hello, bookers. Welcome to Let's Book. Today we will examine the main art movements with chronologically. As a traveler, knowing arts and art history is a must. When you're hanging out in any state, city, or a museum, you will see a lot of artistic details. Basically, art's spread everywhere. By the way, a lot of art, even if it is not made in USA, can be reachable in USA museums. Every art movement given with an American example. Let's dive into it. Number 1. Prehistoric art. Prehistoric art refers to the creative expressions of early human societies before the advent of written records. I view prehistoric art as a vital window into understanding the cultural, social, and mythological aspects of ancient peoples. This art often takes the form of cave paintings, petroglyphs, sculptures, and portable objects such as figurines and tools. These artworks provide insights into the daily life, beliefs, and practices of prehistoric communities, showcasing their relationship with the natural world, rituals, and mythologies. Analyzing prehistoric art involves studying techniques, materials, motifs, and their symbolic meanings, which vary across different regions and time periods. Despite the lack of written documentation, prehistoric art offers valuable clues about the development of human creativity and the evolution of artistic expression. USA example: Petroglyph National Monument, New Mexico. Number 2. Ancient art. Ancient art encompasses the artistic productions of various ancient civilizations from around the world, spanning thousands of years, and encompassing a wide range of styles, techniques, and cultural contexts. I approach ancient art as a rich tapestry of visual expressions that reflect the beliefs, values, and societal structures of the cultures that produced them. Ancient art can be found in diverse forms, including architecture, sculpture, painting, pottery, and metalwork. These artworks serve various functions, from religious and ceremonial purposes to commemorating historical events or celebrating the achievements of rulers and elites. Studying ancient art involves analyzing the formal elements of artworks, such as composition, style, and iconography, as well as understanding the cultural and historical contexts in which they were created. By examining ancient artworks, historians can reconstruct aspects of daily life, religious beliefs, political ideologies, and artistic techniques of ancient societies. While ancient art in the United States may not have the same millennia-spanning history as in some other regions, there are still significant examples that contribute to our understanding of early American cultures. Here are an example: Chaco Canyon, New Mexico. Number 3. Medieval art. Medieval art refers to the artistic production of the Middle Ages, a period spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th century in Europe. As an art historian, I approach medieval art as a complex and diverse body of work that reflects the religious, social, and political contexts of the time. Medieval art is characterized by its close association with the Christian Church, which served as the primary patron and promoter of artistic endeavors during this period. Much of medieval art was created for religious purposes, serving to convey biblical stories, saints' lives, and theological concepts to a largely illiterate population. Churches, cathedrals, and monasteries were adorned with elaborate frescoes, mosaics, stained glass windows, and sculptures, transforming these spaces into visual narratives of faith and devotion. Medieval art also encompassed a wide range of other media and themes, including illuminated manuscripts, metalwork, textiles, and secular subjects such as courtly love and chivalry. Manuscript illumination, in particular, reached new heights of sophistication during the Middle Ages, with scribes and illuminators producing intricately decorated manuscripts featuring vibrant colors, gold leaf, and elaborate ornamentation. Stylistically, medieval art evolved over time, with distinct periods such as the early Christian, Byzantine, Romanesque, and Gothic. Each of these periods is characterized by its own artistic conventions, techniques, and iconography, reflecting shifts in cultural, religious, and aesthetic trends. USA example: International Center of Medieval Art, ICMA, in New York. Number 4. Renaissance. I view the Renaissance as a pivotal period in the history of art, spanning roughly from the 14th to the 17th century in Europe. The term Renaissance means rebirth, reflecting the revival of interest in classical antiquity and the renewed emphasis on humanism, innovation, and creativity that characterized this era. The Renaissance witnessed a profound transformation in artistic production, as artists broke away from the conventions of the medieval period and embraced new techniques, styles, and subjects. One of the defining features of Renaissance art is its emphasis on naturalism and the accurate representation of the human form, inspired by the study of classical sculpture and anatomy. During the Renaissance, artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael achieved mastery in techniques such as perspective, chiaroscuro, the use of light and shadow, and sfumato, the blending of tones, creating works of unparalleled beauty and sophistication. These artists explored a wide range of subjects, including religious themes, mythology, portraiture, and the natural world, infusing their works with emotional depth, psychological insight, and a sense of idealized beauty. The Renaissance was also a period of patronage, with wealthy merchants, aristocrats, and church officials commissioning artworks to adorn churches, palaces, and public spaces. This patronage fueled artistic innovation and experimentation, as artists competed to create masterpieces that would showcase their skills and elevate their status. USA example: Breaker's Mansion in Newport. 5. Baroque. I view the Baroque period as a dynamic and multifaceted era in the history of art, architecture, and culture that emerged in Europe in the late 16th century and lasted until the mid-18th century. The Baroque is characterized by its grandeur, theatricality, emotional intensity, and emphasis on movement and dynamism. One of the defining features of Baroque art is its use of dramatic lighting, known as chiaroscuro, to create a sense of depth, contrast, and atmosphere. Baroque artists employed bold contrast between light and shadow to heighten of their works and draw viewers into the scene. Baroque artists also excelled in capturing the human form in dynamic and expressive poses, conveying a sense of movement, drama, and psychological depth. Figures in Baroque paintings often appear in exaggerated or contorted poses, expressing intense emotion or engaging in dramatic action. In addition to painting and sculpture, the Baroque also left its mark on architecture, with architects designing grandiose churches, palaces, and public buildings, characterized by elaborate ornamentation, dynamic forms, and dramatic spatial effects. Baroque architecture often employed curved lines, intricate detailing, and elaborate decorative elements to create immersive and awe-inspiring environments. USA example: Bedroom from the Sagredo Palace in Metropolitan Museum of Art. Number 6. Rococo. I view Rococo as a distinct artistic style that emerged in the early 18th century in France and spread throughout Europe, reaching its peak in the mid-18th century. Rococo is characterized by its emphasis on elegance, ornamentation, and playful charm, as well as its rejection of the grandiosity and solemnity of the preceding Baroque period. Rococo art is characterized by its lightness, delicacy, and asymmetry, with a focus on decorative elements such as elaborate scrolls, curves, and natural motifs like shells, flowers, and foliage. Rococo artists embraced a sense of whimsy and fantasy, creating artworks that exuded a sense of joy, pleasure, and refinement. One of the hallmarks of Rococo art is its depiction of scenes of leisure, love, and romance, often set in idyllic pastoral landscapes or luxurious interiors. These paintings, often commissioned by aristocratic patrons, depicted elegant figures engaged in leisurely activities such as picnics, concerts, and masquerades, conveying a sense of opulence and sophistication. Rococo architecture also embraced the principles of grace and delicacy, with buildings characterized by their asymmetrical facades, intricate ornamentation, and playful use of light and color. Rococo interiors were adorned with sumptuous decorations, including ornate stucco work, gilded moldings, and pastel-colored frescoes, creating immersive and enchanting spaces. In addition to painting and architecture, Rococo aesthetics also influenced other art forms such as sculpture, decorative arts, and fashion. Sculptors created graceful and sensual figures, adorned with intricate drapery and decorative details, while artisans produced exquisite objects such as porcelain, furniture, and jewelry, characterized by their elegance and refinement. USA example: Fire Screen by Thomas Affleck in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. 7. Neoclassicism. Neoclassicism emerged in the 18th century as a reaction to the excesses of the Baroque and Rococo styles. It drew inspiration from classical antiquity, particularly Greek and Roman art, emphasizing simplicity, clarity, and order. Neoclassical artworks often depict heroic subjects, with an emphasis on idealized forms and a sense of harmony. Neoclassicism also extended to architecture and literature, reflecting a broader cultural shift towards rationality and Enlightenment ideals. USA example: United States Capitol in Washington. Number 8. Romanticism. Romanticism was an artistic, literary, and intellectual movement that emerged in the late 18th century and reached its peak in the first half of the 19th century. Romanticism celebrated individualism, emotion, imagination, and the sublime, often exploring themes of nature, folklore, and the supernatural. In painting, Romantic artists sought to evoke powerful emotions and stir the viewer's imagination. They often depicted dramatic landscapes, sublime natural phenomena, and heroic or tragic subjects from history, literature, or mythology. The use of bold colors, expressive brushwork, and dynamic compositions helped convey the intensity of emotions and the grandeur of the subjects. Overall, Romanticism represented a shift towards a more subjective, emotional, and imaginative approach to art and literature, inspiring generations of artists and writers to explore the depths of human experience and the mysteries of the natural world. USA examples: the Oxbow, View from Mount Holyoke, Metropolitan Museum of Art by Thomas Cole. Number 9. Realism. Realism was an artistic movement that emerged in the mid-19th century as a reaction against the idealized and romanticized depictions of life in art. It sought to portray the world with truthfulness and accuracy, focusing on everyday subjects and the lives of ordinary people. Realist artists aimed to capture the realities of contemporary society, including its social, political, and economic conditions, often depicting scenes of urban life, rural landscapes, and the working class. Artists sought to represent the world objectively, without idealization or embellishment, often using techniques such as naturalistic lighting, precise brushwork, and a subdued color palette. Realism also extended to literature, exploring similar themes of social realism and psychological depth in their novels and short stories. Overall, realism represented a shift towards a more truthful and socially engaged approach to art, challenging traditional notions of beauty and idealism. It laid the foundation for later movements such as Impressionism. USA example: Thomas Eakins, The Gross Clinic. Number 10. Impressionism. Impressionism was an influential art movement that emerged in France during the late 19th century, fundamentally changing the way artists approached painting. Impressionist painters were interested in the effects of light and atmosphere on their subjects, often working en plein air, that's mean outdoors, to observe and capture the nuances of natural light. They favored loose brushwork, broken color, and rapid visible brushstrokes, which created a sense of movement and immediacy in their works. One of the defining characteristics of Impressionism is its focus on capturing the sensation or impression of a scene, rather than rendering it with strict realism. As such, Impressionist paintings often have a sense of spontaneity and suggestiveness, leaving much to the viewer's interpretation. Despite facing initial criticism from the art establishment, Impressionism went on to become one of the most celebrated and influential art movements of the 19th century, laying the groundwork for the development of modern art. Its emphasis on individual perception, experimentation with color and light. USA example: Chilled Hassam, Fifth Avenue in Winter. Now you learned chronologically main 10 art movements. But that's not all. In part 2, we will examine the other art movements with chronologically. Happy travels.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.